Hey guys, it's God's Comic Brad Stine, and don't you hate getting on social media only to find haters waiting to hate on you because you're so hateful? Stick around. I'd hate for you to miss this. All right, so have you ever noticed that oftentimes when you are on social media and voice your opinion or even agree with someone else's, it oftentimes leads to people attacking your character or maligning your intentions, slandering your reputation. Obviously, you've experienced this. If you haven't noticed this, then you need to head to a professional psychiatrist. Have yourself examined for the inability to observe objectively the world you inhabit. See, the one reality we have all come to understand is that social media went from a fun way to share recipes and tell friends where the next garage sale was to instead dropping your iron fist on everyone you deem unworthy of human decency. That human is easy to locate because they always have one trait that is inexcusable in today's woke society. They had the audacity and the temerity to disagree with your expertise. Notice that everyone that has an opinion on social media are not just right, but are experts in every cultural nuance, from racism to transgenderism, from doctorate level understanding of feminine studies and climate change. You see, the problem with all of us is once we have formed our opinion, it often goes from the category of subjectivity to the sacred status of one of the 10 Commandments, hadn't God beat us to it. See, remember that whether you like it or not, everyone is religious. Any idea or perspective that is most important to you and drives your way of engaging the world is your religion. We're designed to know God, the creator of meaning, and thus, if we abandon him, well, we'll always fill the void with an idol, and we'll worship it. Make no mistake about it. Cultural Marxism, or political correctness, is the religion of the left. That is why, if you deviate from its commandments, you will face the repercussions of your fall from grace from the self-appointed cultural elite who command you to obey. The state has simply taken the place of God. The God the left doesn't believe in, by the way. But if you have the temerity to believe in God, then they feel obligated to callously mock him for his unbending demand that you obey his every dictate like some overbearing ogre looking to destroy you the moment you deviate from the orthodoxy. One of the reasons the left hates God is because they don't want anyone telling them how to live. No, they save the right to demand human obedience for themselves, to impose on everyone else. Interestingly, the same people who demand people into sensitivity training to force you to think and behave on issues against your will suddenly are insulted if God demands they adhere to the rules he created. One of the truths that people of faith adhere to is not only does God have the right to make the rules, he is keeping tabs on everything we do. That at the end of our lives, there is literally a playback of everything we have ever done, good or bad. There's this home movie, if you will, of our entire existence on earth, and suddenly everything becomes revealed in one fell swoop. You actually get to observe your entire life for the first time, not from a linear perspective, but from God's eye view. Beginning to end, one pass. The good news for Christ's followers, of course, is all the bad decisions and behaviors have been paid for already by the God-man who's Christ. But sure, we'll be broken and humbled by what we did and didn't do, but that's where Christ's grace and mercy will most shine through, as we're ushered into eternity in the presence of the living God who loved us so much as to pay the price for our redemption. But I started this discussion referencing social media because in a weird way, that can be a bit of a precursor to what we will experience at Judgment Day. When we post something on social, whether it's a text or a video or a comment, it seems we often forget that it rests there for eternity, for all intents and purposes. I mean, once recorded and put into the atmosphere of information, it's never going to go away. You can't erase it. Sometimes, but not before someone has screenshot it, saved it, sent it out to the masses. Yet we continue to think of this world as anonymous, that for some reason it seems to bring out the worst of us. You see, when we used to have to face our nemesis in the flesh, there was a certain amount of discretion, decorum that was expected of us. It was once called civility. Not to mention, it was a safer way to engage, since when faced with a flesh and blood human, there is much more at stake. Social media has become the Iron Man suit of the coward. We could subtly insult, malign, threaten anyone we chose without concern of physical retribution. There are many who've nurtured and cherished this power. We even gave them a moniker, the troll. That's why when people try to engage me on a thread commenting on my latest episode or comedy bit, there are certain parameters I demand. I believe that someone has to start the ball rolling if we have a chance to return to some standard of polite, howbeit heated dialogue. My hope is these not only allow you your freedom of speech, but actually teach us ways to not hate each other along the way. So, number one, information, not insults. If you want to explore your position, feel free. That makes for interesting dialogue and hopefully stimulating conversation. But if instead you simply name call, diminish others' perspectives, and attack, malign, insult, then you will more than likely be removed from my thread. Now, I'm not interested in conflict as entertainment. I'm interested in moving the conversation along. If you have no information but only insults, I'm not interested. Number two, I expect you to have your own thoughts. If you simply come on posting a link from someone to essentially do the work for you, not interested. Copy and paste doesn't an argument make. I write all my own stuff. You got to do the same. Number three, if someone answers your statement with a rebuttal, you need to address that. Okay? Not going off on a rabbit hole or change the subject. Just answer the refutation. Even if your answer is, I don't know, I'll have to look into that. That's honest and humble. Each one of us is responsible for our actions. Let's be remembered as the ones who took the high road, who sought clarity and truth, but always left their opponent their respect and dignity. I realize it will most likely not be returned to you, but you won't have to answer for how others treated you. You will have to answer for how you answered others. You ready to try? Somebody's got to start the ball rolling. Why not me? And then you. This is God's Comic, Brad Stine. And remember, guys, I will never shirk my duties of speaking the truth. PC free is liberty. I know you just watched this episode and you hate it that I'm trying to get you to subscribe. If you don't subscribe, how am I going to keep making these things? How is your life going to have any meaning whatsoever if I'm not constantly filling it with my depth? So, Brad Stine Has Issues on YouTube. Subscribe. We're trying to get to 100,000 subscribers by noon. So get going. Subscribe. Share. And let's get this machine moving. I'd hate it if you were left out.